First of all, let me just say, this is going to be a stupid video. Hey, what's up? It's a Figure Hunter, and up for a brief video short is how to build, and I might not even post this because it's just going to be a little bit ghetto, how to build a watch holder. If you have multiple watches, this is just sort of a inexpensive solution that you can buy all the parts at Home Depot and have a little stand, a ring stand with all of your charging cords all on the same place. So what you have to buy, and I'll try to do this quickly, I bought a 1.5 inch diameter PVC pipe. It was 1.5 by 2 feet long, and I cut 2 little legs off of it, and I bought some turn joints, so 2 of those, 2 turn joints, and 2 caps, and this is what we're going to mount it into. I bought some black zip ties so that we can tie down the power cords to the watch, some screws, and then at the Home Depot, a wood slat for a bed. It's like a twin bed, and I cut 2 little pieces off of it. All of the things in Home Depot, there's like a do-it-yourself, you know, you can saw it in the back of the place. You'll need a drill and an 1/8 inch or 1/8 drill bit, and I think that'll probably work, as well as a screwdriver, obviously, to put it all together, and maybe a spray paint color of your choosing. All of it costs $20 for the supplies, maybe $3 more if you had spray paint that you wanted to add to it. So with that, let's see how it all comes together. Okay, so what I'm going to do is this is a little bit longer for what I want because I want more watches to be able to go on it, and I don't know that many people have a bunch of watches, so I don't know that that's a thing. It's something that is a thing for me. So put the 2 end pieces on it, and then put the 2 legs. So I basically kept the smooth even side, keep the smooth even side towards the bottom, and snap those in place. I'm not going to glue it. You don't need to have it glued. It's like the watches aren't going to have, you sort of straighten that out. The watches aren't going to have like a lot of need for overall support and stability. And then I'm going to take these 2 legs that I chopped off, and you can just sort of do it whatever, I don't know, these are about 8 inches, and I'm going to screw the caps into the legs. So I'm going to use the 8-inch screw. I'm going to do 4 holes, and I'll show you what that looks like in a second. All right, so I got my screw holes in both, and now I'm just simply going to mount them to the little legs for it. So let's look. Okay, so now I've got these mounted on, and all you have to do from here is simply take this and shove it in the caps, and it is basically good to go for painting. So it's going to stand up like this. Obviously, it's not the prettiest, but it is effective just because it'll just sort of hold all the devices on. So I'm going to snap it all in place a little bit better, a little bit more firmly, and then spray paint it all, and we'll come back. And there you have it. So it's obviously black. I suggest black because you can have black zip ties, and the black watch bands, everything will just sort of blend in and hide. Plus it blends in well with darker countertops, which is where I'm going to put it. One thing I will say, because we didn't glue the joints, it's easier just to take that off and chop off a chunk and pop the joint back on, so you just have a shorter range. And if I feel like it's too tall, I can just pop the cap off, chop some of the bottom off, and pop the cap back on so that it has a lower profile. So all that's just adjustable because we're just sort of, taking a guess at how it would best fit or how it would best look or the best overall size. So what we're going to do is we're going to zip tie the cords on. I'm not doing this in any sort of special way, so if you have suggestions, fire away at how we might want to make adjustments, and maybe I'll put a spot of hot glue just to hold the cord in place after it. So let's look at how that's done. Okay, so what are we going to do now? Now we're going to take each of the cords, attach them to the backs of the watches, attach the cord on, and then strap the watch down just to get a gauge for how I want to space it out. Now, there are a billion different cords and a billion different watches, so which works best for yours? Some of these might not be flush, obviously. So, if you take the Polar Puck, for example, with most of their watches, it sits flush. The Suunto 9 happens to sort of sit flush. You can buy a Garmin plug because thankfully Garmin's kept the same cord for a long time, so other manufacturers have made more of a puck that sits flush. Coros you don't have an option with, and a lot of other watch manufacturers you don't really have an option with, so you have to be a little bit creative with how we're approaching this. Let's just see how it looks when we plug the watch, the power cords onto the watches and then attach the watch to the stand. Okay, so this is how it looks. So Polar, Garmin with the big puck, which makes it stand up, and if you have a regular cord, it's going to be harder. It's going to look a little bit like the Pace 2 because it's almost the exact same type of cord. Suunto fits nicely up there. And then I just put the TicWatch Pro 3 because that's my sort of fun Wear OS watch, because I had to sell the Suunto 7 to be able to test the Suunto 9. Suunto 7 was my favorite Wear OS because none of the Wear OSs are good for CrossFit or for training, so they're just fun for looks. So let's see how we can deal with the cords. What I've done is I've just dangled them all sort of down in front, and we're going to probably strap them back and then just sort of zip tie them down, and then we'll see if we want to glue any of the pucks or the power cord parts in place. Okay, so I'm gonna do something a little different. So if you see all the backs of the watches, the cords all come out one side for the most part. And if you look at it, they all sort of come down. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna strap down with the zip tie the first watch band, and then I'm gonna tie it in with the second watch band zip tie, and then I'm gonna roll these two into the third watch band zip tie, fourth and fifth, so that every zip tie I add, I'm bundling in part of the cord, so all the cords are gonna run along this panel. Okay, so now you can see they run like the veins of a tree down the side. I'm gonna slide the watches out and strap them down a little bit more tightly, and then bundle them to the one side they're coming out. All right, so as simple as it looks, so this is the front. You can see each of the ports with the one issue of the Chorus port coming out a little bit, and that's how a Garmin port would be if you had a regular port. Suunto, the small sort of half port for the TicWatch, and then all tied down the back. You can also see just how it blends down the back and sort of runs like veins down the back. We're gonna see how it looks when it's sort of standing up. One big caveat you may mention or may pay attention to: all these power cords are strapped on down, so if you're looking to take them on a trip, you're not going to have ease of access. But I'm guessing if you have more than one watch or multiple fitness watches, or maybe like to switch between an AMOLED watch that doesn't track fitness as well, and then a watch that does, you might have more watches, and therefore you might be able to afford an Amazon cable if that's what you need just for travel. So this would be the stand-up version. So let's look out the final product looks. All right, so this is how it looks with all of them dangling. So obviously, if we figure out some sort of option for the Garmin or Coros type, straight plug-in, that's going to make it a little easier. If I lift this up a little bit, it'll give it a little lift and it'll sit more flush. Obviously, this is floating around as well as this, but they're all fine. In all honesty, this is what I wanted: just a place to throw them up where they can charge. I don't have to think about it. You have to get a multi-USB power source, obviously, but if you have this many watches, you think about that already. So with that, that is your custom build at-home watch holder.